And we're back with an episode of the MDM podcast. Joe Morales, Joe Markowski here. After a Week 14 defeat, the Giants are back to their regular bad football team mentality and bad style of playing. Trevor, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good.
So, the Giants are back to their bad football playing is one way to pull it. Miserable football. And it starts at the top with Daniel Jones. He was back to when the team was 0-5, when he couldn't complete a pass, when he couldn't scramble, when he was fumbling. And the last 4 weeks, we've praised him for not turning over the ball. And what does he do? First drive of the game, turns the ball over. It's a fumble on behalf of our good old friend, Marcus Golden.
Yeah, I mean, the offense is a problem once again. And once again, Jones not impressed again. I think he was not good.
Well, the first thing I thought of when the Giants lost was you, because you kept saying last week that this was the game that you were going to determine Jones' future on. If he beat Arizona, he would impress you. If he didn't, which he didn't, he went back to the beginning of this year. Doesn't sit well with you.
Doesn't. I mean, he doesn't show up in the big game. And I said, like you said, it doesn't matter who you beat. Well, it does now, because a halfway decent team, the offense was nowhere.
Great.
7 points. That's unacceptable if you ask me. The defense was okay. I mean, the only thing I would say is there was no pass rush. But just not to show up.
Defense is good, dude. Look, we've been saying it the past couple weeks. Defense is solid. They got a solid defense.
The only thing I would say about the defense is there was no pass rush on Murray, which I did not like.
Yeah, I don't know if you felt this, because you're a Kyler Murray guy, so you live and breathe Kyler Murray. It felt like there was no way to stop him. Like if there was no one open in the second, if there were no receivers open, he would find a way to scramble. If there was some sort of pass rush, he'd fire off a short pass for a first down. It just felt like he was unstoppable.
It was. I thought they played a very good game, and the beginning of the game where the Giants stopped him, I thought maybe the Giants defense is going to do well today after on that 4th and goal on the first possession, but the offense never really got going. I mean, they had that one touchdown, but after that, they never really got going. I mean, there wasn't even a shot where they missed possessions and they missed field goals. They never really. Nothing on the defense, because I thought the Cardinals offense played decent, but I thought the story was the Giants offense. They just couldn't get out of their own way, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree. It was a Giants' fault. It was a Giants' offense fault. But if I can cut a little bit of slack here, they weren't set up with great field position all game. It was like a game of catch. The Giants would start on like inside their own 20, kick it off to the Cardinals, who, let's say they get on like the 30 or 40-yard line. The Cardinals will march up the field for about 20 yards, just miss field goal range, and punt it right back to the Giants inside their own 10. It was that the entire game. It was so repetitive. The Giants couldn't get out of their own 20-yard line.
I agree. Now, that doesn't, when you're playing these teams, playoff teams, you got to have to drive the ball. That's not an excuse. Why you just say, it's bad field position. And you got to drive the ball.
I completely agree. But, go ahead.
The thing I think that would have turned out is they didn't even get a first down to flip the field position a little bit. They just couldn't, it was either a bad throw, a penalty, the drop ball, every play was something that, could have been this, but it turned out to be that because of something.
Well, also, call it like it is. The Cardinals secondary was awesome. Receivers were covered. Evan Ingram was non-existent. There were a couple. Golden Tate made a couple plays. I'll give Golden Tate that. I'm not a big Golden Tate fan, but he made a couple plays. But the rest of the day, there was no signs of offense. When all the receivers are covered, Jason Garrett tends to rely heavily on the run game. This week, Wayne Gallman wasn't there, and after Wayne Gallman, Dion Lewis, of course. He has to fumble on the kickoff return. I know it should have been a penalty, Trevor, but of course he has the fumbles. That's on Dion Lewis right there. But no offense. They couldn't get a run game. Daniel Jones looked lost. Daniel Jones, there's a thing called scrambling. You should really try it one day. When you're under pressure, when the offensive line played as bad as they did yesterday, you're allowed to move out of the hash marks. You can run around the offensive line. You can go to the left. You can go to the right. You can run out of bounds. You can slide. There are other tactics than sitting there and getting sacked. And you being sacked is not your strong suit, because when you get sacked, you fumble the ball.
You do, and some people are saying, well, he took a hard hit, You can't tell me every hit you take, the ball's going to be on the ground. That just can't happen.
It's not. It's inexcusable. You cannot rely. I mean, listen, the Giants' offensive line has been fairly decent over the past couple weeks. Over the 4-game win streak, it seemed like everything was going right. But yesterday, when things don't go right, you can't curl into a little ball and expect the offensive line to do great things for you and get sacked and fumble the ball every time. It's not how it works.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a game that I don't know about must win, but you have to have. And they lose, and all the other NFC East teams win.
Yeah. Go down the line. Philly won. Cowboys won. Redskins, 49ers couldn't do us a favor. The Redskins won.
I mean, the Cowboys, I thought they were going to win anyway. But
Me too. They still look pretty good, though. I know the Bengals are a bad team, but you put up 30 points against anyone. It's pretty good.
I mean, the Redskins' schedule looks easier to the Giants one, in my opinion.
Oh, I completely agree. If the Giants play like the way they did yesterday, they're not going to beat the Browns. They're not going to beat the Ravens. Heck, they might not even beat the Cowboys. So, with the way Washington's playing, I think Washington's got a legit defense here, too, Trevor.
Chase Young?
Oh, God, he's a superstar now. And usually it takes some of these guys a couple of years or just like a year and a half to, break out, get out of their shell and perform at the highest level. Chase Young, it's taken 13 weeks.
I had bad memories. Remember the Giants-Redskins game late last year? It was a meaningless game.
When it cost them Chase Young, right?
Giants won in overtime. It was like, I hate to say it wins meaningless. I hate to say that. But it really was. And it was like, we lost Chase Young because we beat a team that had nothing to play for. No playoffs and nothing. And we won, and now we didn't get Chase Young.
I'll tell you, I don't want to, bring down Chase Young because I think he's an extraordinary player. But look at the way the defense has played this year. He would have, of course, made a huge impact. But they're not starving for a pass rush, right? Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams have been fairly decent this year. Okay? And offensive line was something they needed. Now, Andrew Thomas hasn't played up to what I think he can play at. Over the past 4 games, he's been all right, but he hasn't been number 4 overall.
But if Chase Young was on the defense, then it could have been a formidable defensive line.
But then you have no offensive line, is what I'm saying. I know Andrew Thomas isn't very good, but he gives you just a little bit more than what you would have had.
I get that. I don't like he's benched and this and that. It seems like he's been a little bit of a distraction to the team as well.
Well, I think that's on the head coach. And if you don't mind me talking about the head coach real quick, I don't think he had a very good game either.
No, some people, everybody has a bad day.
Right, but there was one play. I even forget what it was, but I remember the circumstances. It was 3rd and 1. The Giants were, of course, inside their own 30-yard line. It's where they sat the whole game. They wouldn't move out of there. It was a 3rd and 1. And him and Jason Garrett have Daniel Jones wind up and throw down the field to Darius Slayton. Trevor, it was 3rd and 1. If you're going to, let alone throw the ball, if you have to throw it, just move the sticks, get a yard, and reset the downs. On 3rd and 1, run with your red-hot running back.
Yeah, and the throw was way off.
Way off. It was, Drew, I think, thinking about it now, I think it was out of bounds. Or close to it.
I don't think the offense is. I think Garrett has been just okay as an offensive coordinator. I think he's had his moments, but I haven't been that impressed with him. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
No, I've actually liked him this year. He's gotten everything out of Wayne Gallman, everything you can ask out of him. Without Saquon Barkley, he stepped up, and I think that's due to Jason Garrett not quitting on him.
I give him the money back, but I just think the overall offense has been just average.
Right, and I'll give you another reason. I don't think Jones has that number 1 receiver every quarterback needs. Right, look around the league. Aaron Rodgers has a Devontae Adams. Matt Ryan has a Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, who had a big game yesterday. Every one of these good quarterbacks, look at the other team. Kyler Murray has DeAndre Hopkins. Every quarterback needs a number 1 wide receiver. You can't play with a couple of number 2s. We saw it this year with the Houston Texans. It doesn't work. You need a number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I could think of a couple for the draft. I don't know if you want to go down that route. Maybe offensive line is number 1. Again, the next 5 games will determine what's it going to be.
I was thinking of a trade. I think the Falcons are going to blow it up. Trade for Julio Jones. Make a trade like that. Get a really, really good wide receiver.
They're gonna ask for a lot, though.
They should. He's arguably the best wide receiver in the sport, but that is the kind of talent they need to help this quarterback out.
Well, I think well, I think what should happen. I mean, the GM should be out for the Giants, if you ask
No,
me again.
no, I completely disagree.
And if they get top 10 draft, I mean, the right guy taking the stage. See the right guy under center right now. That's still be to be determined.
Well, here's the thing with Gettleman. So even with the loss yesterday, I know after the loss yesterday we have a sour taste in our mouth. But this year they have exceeded our expectations more than me and you thought, and any other pundit or expert thought. At 5 wins in week 14 of the regular season, that's far better than anyone thought they would do. So with
I
Dave
agree, but
Gettleman, he's brought. I
I
think we have our franchise quarterback. I think
I
he's
think
brought in a good offensive lineman. He's built a great defense. For Gettleman, I think a 2-year contract, almost a prove me contract. You get 2 more years, get to the playoffs, and make a deep playoff run in these 2 years. Is that fair?
mm, I'll compromise on that. I'll give him 2 years.
2 years. I think that's a perfect deal for 2 years. All right, you built a team. Now go win with it. Now bring in reinforcements. Make the team great. You have the
I
developmental pieces. Make it great now.
I think the team is not good unless you're going to tell me you're going to put a great cast around him. The the team is not going to go anywhere if you have the same quarterback keep playing and playing. It's time to put a new quarterback in there.
No, I'm saying give him weapons. So we had this argument earlier in the year, dude. Remember when we had the argument when, or rather, if you have a decent quarterback with good weapons,
Well, Jones
it'll
got
make the
benched
quarterback
yesterday.
great.
He did get benched yesterday.
And he should have been. I think he should have been benched earlier, actually. They waited till about 3 minutes of the third quarter. He should have been out in the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but I agree. It's just that when Jones has a big game coming up, he never seemed to win that big game to you know,
I mean,
like
Trevor,
I said,
look at last week. Remember what happened last week?
that was Colt McCoy. Where's Daniel Jones?
Oh, that's true. Okay, but I'm talking about the Giants. You're talking about Daniel Jones. Okay.
Hmm.
I actually don't think he's beaten a team worth 500 yet.
And this comes back to my story. It matters who you beat.
Okay, but let me ask you this. If they had Daniel Jones last week, you don't think they'd win?
If they had Daniel Jones last year, would they win the division?
No, if they had Daniel Jones last week against Seattle.
Um, they would probably, but you don't know. Jones and McCoy are different quarterbacks. How do you know what's going to happen?
Because Cole McCoy's a backup quarterback.
Yeah, but Jones likes to run the ball more. How do you know he doesn't fumble on a run or something like that?
Because there was no pass rush that week. How many times did Colt McCoy get sacked?
Not too many, but again,
Exactly.
it's hard to judge different quarterbacks in different scenarios. He probably would have won. I can't guarantee that.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Daniel Jones is on Colt McCoy's level? Do you really think he's that bad that he's as bad as Colt McCoy?
I think he's better than Colt McCoy. I would put it this: there's 4 tiers for quarterbacks. I have the best,
Mm-hmm.
second tier, third tier, and fourth tier. He's in the third tier for me.
Who's in the fourth tier? Like the worst of the worst? Like
Oh, you have like the Jaguars,
Drew Lock, people like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Drew Lock's in the third tier. I give him that.
I don't know about that. I think the Broncos are actually looking for a quarterback next year.
We'll see. Sam Darnold's in the fourth tier.
Can I ask you another question?
Yes.
Let's say this offseason, the Houston Texans call you up. They're going to ask for 3 first-round picks. And let's also give them... They're going to ask for Xavier McKinney, too. Would you trade for Deshaun Watson?
Yes.
So you would do 3 first-round picks and Xavier McKinney for Deshaun Watson.
Well, the guy that you can look at as a cheaper, what about Carson Wentz?
I don't want Carson Wentz. Absolutely not.
Or what about Sam Darnold?
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me?
Well, hold on.
No. You hate Daniel Jones so much that you want to get rid of him and maybe bring in a rookie quarterback. So
Look.
Sam Darnold is essentially a rookie quarterback.
Look, I think Sam Darnold is a decent quarterback. Do you think it's part of it because he's in a bad system?
I do. I think you put him in a good system. But are you saying the Giants is a good system? If the Giants had a good
Better than
system,
the Jets
Daniel Jones
system?
would be playing good right now.
I agree, but it's better than the Jets system.
No, but you don't settle for that, Trevor. You need exceptional quarterbacks.
I can see Darnold with the Patriots.
Okay, but that's a conversation for the day. If you do you really think Sam Darnold could come here and be a legitimate quarterback?
No, I'm just saying maybe Darnold as a backup.
Why? But why? It doesn't make sense.
You need some reinforcements. I like to have a good second quarterback.
So bring in Andy Dalton. Bring in a backup quarterback, or trade for Gardner Minshew. How about that? He's better than Sam Darnold.
Well, Andy Dalton, he would be starting over Jones if you gave me the choice.
But how does this solve your problem of not liking Daniel Jones if you bring in a competent backup? What does that do?
Well, I would say this: if you bring in a Dalton,
Mm-hmm.
compete for the job. Let Jones know that his job is on the line.
I'm not at that level for Daniel Jones yet. I'm not there yet.
No, look, he could redeem himself these next 2 weeks. He could win one of these 2 games.
I'll give you this. After week 17, when we come on here for Black Monday, I think, what is that? That's January 7th, I think. Let me look it up real quick. No, that is January 14th, 4th. So January 4th, if you come on here and Daniel Jones loses all 3 of these games, let's bring in a backup quarterback and compete. Almost like what Gary Sanchez is doing right now, right? You bring competition for Gary Sanchez. But if Daniel Jones wins one of these games and they are still in division race in
Hold
week
on.
17, I'm keeping them.
Now, one of the 3 games, the Dallas, he's got to be Baltimore, Cleveland. Can't be Dallas.
No. He can win a game. He can be Dallas.
No. You got to be a good team. Dallas is the same level as the Giants.
He beat Washington twice this year. They're a good team, right?
I get that, but that was before Washington improved, and one of them was with Haskins.
Okay, well, is Arizona a good team? They were 500 last week.
I think they're better than what they are.
No,
Yeah,
but okay, Washington was the same football team when they played them.
I agree, but my thing is that if you look at my thing is that they can only beat teams at the same level. They can't beat a team over 500 or
because the team around him is not built to be over 500.
Yeah, but you're in a big race, and you're gonna have to step up and win one of these games.
When you say big race, you're talking about teams that are 5-8. That's the
still a division title on the line.
I understand that, but they're not good teams. No team in this division is good, Trevor.
I get that.
You know that.
So if they lose all 3 games, if they lose Cleveland and they lose Baltimore, and forget the Dallas game because that doesn't matter, they lose, then there's got to be a backup coming in the offseason.
That's a fair argument that I'm willing to have with you on January 4th. But I don't even know what it is. December 14th, 10 days out from Christmas Eve, by the way, and happy Hanukkah to everyone if you're celebrating. But 10 days out of Christmas, on December 12th or 14th, right now, Daniel Jones is my franchise quarterback. He has the skill, he has the arm accuracy, and he has the arm strength. He also has I thought he had the ability to know how to scramble out of the pocket. Yesterday, it was non-existent.
But in 3 weeks, that argument could change.
It can. We got 3 games left. Like you said, they're in a race. I don't think it's a legitimate race, but they're in a playoff race. And again, you apologize for nothing in the NFL, but a race at 5-7, you take it for what it is.
Doesn't matter. It's a playoff.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. At 5-7, if you take take the opportunity you get.
Do you call this game a must-win this week?
Yes, every game for the remainder of the season is a must-win.
And you can't just say it's between Washington and the Giants. No. The Eagles and Cowboys are back in.
I'm looking at standings right now. Let's see. The Eagles are a half game out. Cowboys are a game out.
Well, the Washington beat Dallas twice, so that doesn't favor Dallas.
Okay, how'd they do against Eagles?
I gotta look that, but I can just tell you this: Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback next week. That just came in an hour ago.
Yes, actually, let's get to that right now, Trevor. Okay, so we did 20 minutes on the Giants. That's pretty good. So now we have for the Eagles Jalen Hurts starting. So I think he's won the starting job. I'm going to ask you this: does he have the starting job for the rest of the season?
I think he does. I mean, if nothing else, even if they're out of the playoff race come week 17, you at least got to see what you got for next year.
I think for the rest of this year, he's the starting quarterback. And what a game! What a first career game for Jalen Hurts to take on.
Was very good college.
Was he really? I don't watch a lot of college, but yeah, he was good.
Mm-hmm.
So if he was good in college, he's sitting on the bench for the first portion of this year. He comes out in week 14, beats a very good Saints team. Granted, they don't have Drew Brees right now. Still a very talented team around him.
But it was still a very good team.
Yes, even without Drew Brees, the Saints are still one of the best teams. I think they're the best team in the NFC right now. But he beat them, and then next week, another tough game with the Arizona Cardinals. If he beats,
and it wasn't. Can I make a point? It wasn't like the Eagles got flukes and lucky. It was fair and square beat.
turnovers. The defense actually played pretty good for the Eagles yesterday.
Yeah.
Granted, it's Taysom Hill, but they still played good. You got to give credit where credit's due. And the Eagles had some sort of pulse yesterday, and they didn't have that for the past 5 weeks.
Yes.
So Jalen Hurts is starter. And I want to talk about a couple other games in the NFL, okay? So you got the Bills at 10-3 now. They beat the Steelers on Sunday Night Football last night. And Trevor, it's time to take the Bills seriously. Josh Allen's a legitimate quarterback. He's got a number one receiver. You see how having a number one receiver helps? How good of a game Stephon Diggs had yesterday?
Yeah, it did. And we were telling this all before. We thought the Steelers were overrated, and looks like they were.
Yeah, well, they've lost 2 in a row now, dude. And but I think it's more to do with the Bills being a great team.
Yes, I would say last week is definitely on the Steelers, the first loss.
Yes, so the Bills are basically AFC East champions.
Unless they melt down.
I think they're looking at it right now. What's the Bills' schedule coming up? I'm gonna pull it up right now. Bills' schedule, no, not score, schedule. Sorry, Google.
Here we go.
Good, you saved the day.
They are at the Broncos Saturday at 4:30. Remember, there's 2 Saturday games this week.
That's cool. That's a win.
At the Patriots Monday Night Football.
Probably a win.
And Dolphins. Home to the Dolphins.
It's a good game.
That is a good game, and what a Saturday! I'll tell you.
I love these Saturday games, dude, because it actually gives me something to watch other than college football. So Saturday games in the NFL, good thing. Now we just talked about that. We mentioned the Dolphins there. I do want to mention or talk about what they did yesterday down at Miami Gardens, because playing Patrick Mahomes is tough as it is, but only losing to him by 6. Now that's an accomplishment.
Now, and I would say it's even more. They were up 10-0, and when they went down 30-10, they could have easily just thrown in the towel and say, that's it, it's done. But they fought back. They made it the game. I give a lot. It's a loss, but I give them a lot of credit. They fought all the way, and they almost came back.
Do you know why they did that?
Why they came back?
Yeah. Do you know why they didn't quit?
Brian Flores.
Brian Flores is a good NFL head coach.
Yes.
All right. And so far, I don't want to jinx anything. So far, Tua is developing into a very nice quarterback.
Yes, and they got a lot of big games coming up. They got home to the Patriots this week, which is a lot of playoff implications.
Probably win, but okay.
At the Raiders Saturday night, day after Christmas. That's a huge game.
That's a really good game.
And then at the Bills. So they got 3 big games coming up.
Yeah, and I think Miami's going to the playoffs. Those are some really tough games, though.
Well, we'll see. They got Baltimore's right behind them now.
Oh, Baltimore plays tonight in one of the best Monday Night Football games I think we've had this year.
I really hope Baltimore and Miami both make it in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
Because I'm a big Lamar guy, and I always I defended Baltimore saying that, just a losing streak. I think they're going to come back. And I really like Tua. I hope he's in the playoffs. That's why I hope they both make it. For me tonight with the Browns, talking from a Browns perspective, I think it is vital for the Browns to win. Because if they win tonight, they're just like the Buffalo Bills. They'll be 10-3. People are going to take them seriously. This is like the week that people start to understand who's a good team and who's a bad team. I agree. And the other thing is too, it's not a good chance, but the Browns are still in the division race. It's not over yet in the NFC. No, with the Steelers dropping 2 in a row, they're still in it. If they win tonight, they're a game back? They're a game back. So by no means the Browns are playing for a division. And what's the Browns' schedule? Can you pull up the Steelers' schedule? I'll pull up the Browns. Yeah, I got the Browns right here. All right, I'll pull up the Steelers. Who the Browns got? At the Giants Sunday night. It's a winnable game. At the Jets. That Jay should win that game. Hopefully. And home to the Steelers. And I'll give you okay, so they got the Steelers game. I'll give you the other 2. They got the Bengals, probably a win. And then they got the Colts. And I am a big Phillip Rivers fan in Indianapolis. I like what the Colts are doing there. That is going to be a tough game. And ultimately, I think the Colts should win that game. Well, the Colts are in a division battle as well. So that's true. Yeah, you got to compete with the Titans. So let's see what the record should be. If the Browns win tonight, which I think they will, they'll be 10-3. Then they beat who are they playing next? The Giants. Let's say they beat the Giants too. That's 11-3. The Steelers this week will beat the Bengals, so they'll be 12-2. And then I think they lose to the Colts, they'll be 12-3. Yep. That is a very, very important Week 17 game that'll probably be flexed. Probably. But there are some really good Week 17 games this year. Now,
The Bills-Dolphins game, I thought that would be a little more important, but with the Bills taking a couple games, that's probably going to stay at the 1 o'clock window. This is one of them. It is still possible the Giants and Cowboys, though that's looking unlikely.
Or it is possible that the Washington and Eagles game could be as well.
If the Eagles somehow get ahead of the Giants, yes. Do the Colts play the Titans on the last week? Let me see the Colts.
No,
schedule.
the Titans play the Texans.
All right, so that's a meaningless game. What about the
other game could
what about
be
the NFC West?
the other game could be Cardinals and Rams.
That could be an important one. Absolutely, that could be determined a wild card spot. That is going to be a fun Week 17.
Yeah, I hope what they do is they move all the games that don't mean anything to 1 o'clock.
That would be good. Yeah, and then have every playoff game with implications at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, because the 1 o'clock is kind of like you get settled in. It's the undercard.
I completely agree. Completely agree there. Yep, 100%. That's definitely something.
Joe's looking up, and the Giants are at 1 o'clock.
Oh God! Why are you gonna do me like that, dude?
Well, hey, if they keep playing like they did yesterday, it'll be 1 o'clock.
They might be in 11 a.m. if they keep playing like that. All right. So you want to add anything else to any other games?
No, it's just that a lot of good NFL coming up, and Joe, I do have some breaking news.
What's that?
The Pac-12 championship game was supposed to be Washington and USC.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Washington had COVID issues, and they're out of the championship game, so it's going to be USC and Oregon now.
And wait, who did you say is moving out?
Washington is out. They got COVID issues.
What was Washington's record?
They were 3-2, but they did win a division.
Okay, and they're the second place in the division. What were their record? Were they 2-3, or were they also 3-2?
I think Washington was 3-1. Oregon's 3-2. So.
Okay, so Oregon's 3-2, and they're playing. Say it one more time.
USC is 5 now.
USC, who are 5. Okay, USC is going to win either way, but okay, yeah. So Washington's got COVID issues. Was that a rule, or they had to move out of the game? Because they didn't get the 5 games. They only got 4.
Yeah, no. The rule was that they didn't have 53 scholarship players.
Okay, that's the scholarship players. Okay.
So USC was probably going to win, but I feel bad for Washington not getting their chance in the championship game.
Yeah, it's rough, but USC is going to be heavy favorites in this game. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, USC was a 7-point favorite with Washington. I'm curious to see if there's a new line with Oregon.
What do you think? The 10 or 11?
I would say maybe 9 or 10. They still have it at 7. I don't know if that's the old line.
It's not going to get up to 14. I was thinking 14. It's not going to get up to that.
Let me check. That's on ESPN. Let me check on FanDuel.
Here, college football. What day is this? Friday night, right?
Friday night at 8. Always traditional Pac-12 championship.
Friday night. Friday is the wrong date. This Friday is the 18th. I do not see.
The game is down. Game is down.
Did they move? Yeah, it's not here. They're probably redoing the line. That's why I was looking for the Pac-12 championship game before. I couldn't find it on NCAA.com. They must have taken them all down from all websites.
Yeah, they must have. So they're going to put a new lineup for that.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's get into Guess the Spread, Trevor. You ready for this?
I am ready for this.
You've had a very good year so far, and you have 3 more weeks, and we could do playoffs too if you'd like, but you've been very good this year. And we'll start with tonight's game. Go ahead. What do you
and the one thing we should mention is that we are dead heat on the picks with 3 weeks to go.
Yes, I think we're tied now, right?
Yeah, because I think you had only one win. I think I swept.
I went into the day with a 2-point lead. You had a 3-0 week. I had a 1-2 week. So this is going to go down to the wire too. We both have awful records. We are the NFC East of picking against the spread, by the way.
But if you couldn't ask for any more drama.
So on Guess the Spread, go ahead. What's up?
And one more thing, by the way. Did you see that Jets kicker?
The Jets kicker, Sergio Castillo, of course.
With the 3 missed field goals. I mean, they would have lost 40-12 anyway. Wouldn't make a difference. But I mean, I reached my pick Seattle because I knew there was going to be a big response, and it was.
I hope you're okay with this, but I've sort of given up on talking about the Jets because I don't know how much of a 0-14 or what are they? Oh, yeah, they 0-14 or 0-15, 13, whatever it is.
3 missed field goals.
Yeah, I don't know what more we can.
50 yards. They were like short field goals.
It wasn't even crazy. I know. I was watching that, but at 0-13, I don't know how much we could do on the Jets. Bad. That's right? It's repetitive stuff. Adam Gase, Sam Darnold, Frank Gore, defense. Like what more do you want us to do? That's all. Those are the headlines. There you go.
Yeah, and the Jets, they really might go 0-16. It's certainly a possibility. And the kicking around the league yesterday was very bad.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up someone, Dan Bailey in Minnesota.
Yes.
He's had.
You know,
It's not even just yesterday. Dan Bailey's been awful the entire year.
yeah. I mean, he's had, and normally he's a very reliable kicker.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
year I had him in fantasy for the first couple of weeks, and I had to get rid of him early in the year because I'm not one to drop a lot of kickers, but awful year, Dan Bailey. But yeah, let's get to guess the spread. Now, tonight's game, you've probably seen it, but we'll still do it again. And it is the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Game of the week.
I think the Ravens are a field goal in this game.
They are. You got it right. Let's get to Chargers Raiders.
Raiders are 4.
Raiders are 3.5. Bills Broncos.
Saturday night. Just remember, this is Sat two.
Yes, this is the first game of the Saturday doubleheader.
4:30. By the way, what a day of football, by the way, with everything going on.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm gonna say the Bills are a 7.5-point favorite.
You know, I do want to do one thing, and they are Bills are 6.5. I want to pull up the college football schedule because what games is the NFL going to be competing with at 4:30 and 8:00?
4:00. I know is Notre Dame Clemson.
They're going to try and compete with Notre Dame Clemson.
Yeah.
And then then they're going to try and compete with Cincinnati
Florida,
Tulsa. I think Cincinnati is a good team. I'm a big fan of them. And then
Florida,
Alabama Florida.
Mhm.
So why do they do that? They trying to pick off fans from the college football?
Well, I think remember the problem is that the conference championships are never normally this late.
Oh, they're usually earlier?
Yeah, they're normally about 2 weeks early, but with everybody starting about a couple weeks later, they had to do that.
We're
And the NFL didn't know that.
normally getting ready for bowl games, right?
Yeah, well, there's actually a bowl game on Saturday, so you got a really action-packed day of football.
What bowl game Saturday?
I think we got. I gotta look up some small bowl.
This is like every week, by the way. I always ask you what game. I can never remember what bowl games are on.
There's the Frisco Bowl 4:30. So
Frisco Bowl at 4:30. Okay. That is the 19th. So it's
yes, that's SMU and UTSA.
19th is what? That's Saturday, right?
That's Saturday. Guys, you got big slate.
And then it technically kicks off like day after day on the 21st. That's what I'm saying. It always starts around that Christmas break time.
Yeah, and there's even a top 5 college basketball game. Number 3 Iowa, number 1 Gonzaga. I mean, what a day!
What day is that? The 19th?
That's also Saturday at noon.
So on Saturday, you got Gonzaga playing. You got the college football conference finals, and then the NFL. Now, if you want to factor that in with preseason NBA games, it's all coming back now, Trevor.
Except for the NHL. That's the only one not
December
there.
13th. That's official.
December 13th is preseason NHL?
No, that might be regular season.
That's January 13th.
January. But that is official. The 13th of January, regular season, the NHL comes back.
Wait, I'm just talking about this weekend. Technically, there's no NHL.
Yes, yeah, you're right. No, nothing this weekend. Now, for the NHL, both our teams, young and up and coming. I'm looking forward to this year for the Rangers and your Canucks, too.
I agree. I would say the Rangers remind me of the Canucks, but I think the Rangers are a year behind the Canucks, if you ask me.
But the Rangers are a better team.
I agree with that. I just think that, maybe the Rangers are slightly behind.
I want to see what the Rangers, how they come out with Lafreniere, see what he does. So there's a lot of question marks, still a lot of young guys.
And by the way, for our team this year, we're not asking for a Stanley Cup. We're asking just improvement.
Completely agree. I think a playoff run would be nice this year.
Yes.
You guys have a little more on your plate because you guys ended up playing the Blues last year, getting into the second round.
And almost winning the second round.
Exactly. So you guys have a little more. I see what you're saying now. You're a year ahead. I just think the Rangers are a better team. But you guys are right. You have a little more expectation than we do now.
Yeah, I would say that our plate's a little bit. I would say maybe we're half a year ahead of you guys or something like that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. But let's get back to guess the spread. We had Raiders at -3. Did we do the Bills yet?
We did the Bills.
All right. So now on to Sunday. We'll start Sunday with. This is Saturday night. Panthers Packers in Green Bay.
This is a good game. I think Packers by 9.
Yeah, Packers by 8.5.
Watch out, Panthers. They're sneaky team.
No, I told you last week I was on the Panthers. There's just something about them now. They can't seem to finish out games. They trail, then they come back at the end, and then there's some sort of major collapse.
Yeah.
Like I've done everything I can to keep supporting the Panthers, but I can't do it anymore. All right, how about Bears Vikings?
Well, big game. Vikings are 3.5.
You got the Vikings at 3.5. How about Lions Titans?
Titans are 10.
You got 9.5. Texans Colts.
Colts are 7.
Yep. Jaguars Ravens.
Oh, this has got to be a big spread. Ravens are 13.
12.5. Patriots Dolphins.
Dolphins are a safety.
2.5. That might be a game I take.
Yes.
That's very low. Niners Cowboys.
Niners are 2.
3. Okay, let me tell you something about this game. I don't know. Maybe Cowboys with the momentum and the Niners not looking too good. Maybe that's a game the Cowboys pick off.
Maybe.
I'm
It's a
not
good
ruling
game.
it out. This is a cool game. Seahawks football team.
Seahawks are 5.
Yes. See, if Seattle played the way they did last week or the way they did against the Jets last night, I'm not saying they are because you know how bad the Jets are, but if Seattle can get Russell Wilson back on track and have some semblance of a defense,
Which maybe that game starts, Tim.
we can only hope and pray, right?
Yeah.
So then you got Bucks and Falcons.
Bucks are 6.
You got Bucks at 5, and then oh my god, Jets Rams.
Rams by 100.
I'll give it to you. It's pretty much right.
Rams are probably 17.5
We
points.
got 17.
And I'm not ruling out again this week taking the big points with the Rams.
You might do it with the Rams. You took the Rams last week with the points?
No, I took the Seahawks last week with the points.
Okay.
And remember,
good.
I had the Seahawks last week and the Chiefs taking the points, and I'm 2-0 with them taking big points against the Jets. So I've done well with that this year.
You have. You've had a good year betting against the Jets.
So is everybody.
That's true. Eagles Cardinals.
Wow, these I don't know who to vote for. These are one of my 2 favorite quarterbacks. I hope for a tie.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals are probably 7.
You got 6.5.
Oh no, I'll probably root for Murray because I really like him.
You have a man crush on Murray. It's pretty upsetting. like our quarterback a little more than him. All right.
Well, you have a crush on Jones. So.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I kind of do. Sorry. Game of the week: Chiefs Saints. What a game.
Breeze, is he going to be back? Yes or no?
We don't know.
Conflicting reports I heard. I'm going to say Chiefs are favored by 3.5.
4. If Breeze is back, do you think the line moves?
Maybe Chiefs by 2.
So there's no way the Saints are going to be favored. I agree
no matter
there.
If Breeze plays or doesn't play, it's still a great game.
I agree, but I believe this is Fox that has singled out this game as the only 425 game.
Yes, this is a really good game.
And then Sunday night, they look stupid to flex this game now. It is Browns Giants.
Browns are 5.
Right now they're at 4.5. We'll see it tonight if that game or that line moves. And then next Monday night, Steelers Bengals.
Bad game. Steelers are probably 13.
Yep, classic stupid Monday night game, except for tonight. But Monday night games are Monday night football is turning into Thursday night football because Thursday night football usually sucks.
Yes, me.
They really should. It adds nothing. Maybe they move like Monday night football to Tuesday or even Wednesday, like to give you something in the middle of the week.
Maybe.
I think no, but then actually I take that back because you'd have like a weird gap between Sunday and Monday. You just want the week to end. Yeah, I take that back. Keep it Monday. What's up?
Hey, good thing you're not scheduled.
Exactly. Now let's get into some of the college football games this week. Any games on the slate that, I mean, of course they all interest you, but what's on the agenda this weekend? Like, what's the priority for the games?
Well, a lot of conference championship games. I'll tell you that first. Tomorrow, before we begin, we have the next to last rankings for the College Football Playoff Committee.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Sunday's the big day. It's selection day, so that's the big day.
Yep. This Sunday.
This Sunday.
Got it.
The Big Ten, all the Big Ten teams are playing. It's championship weekend, so the first place team in East Division is obviously playing the first place team in the West Division, so that's a championship game. Then it goes onward from there. Second place second, third place third, and the whole deal from that.
Right.
But, I think that Pac-12 championship game obviously kicks things off.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the smaller conferences, which are decent games too.
Friday night. Yep.
Yeah. Big Ten game, Northwestern Ohio State. If you talk about drama, if you're a guy who loves chaos, you're rooting for Northwestern to win.
Oh yeah. Can we get into this for a second?
Yes.
I think that the Big Ten completely screwed Indiana out of playing in this game. Indiana played through a season. They didn't have any COVID concerns. They played there, 6 or 7 games? I forget what the
Well,
number
I think they
is.
had one game canceled against Purdue, but it didn't matter. But
They played more games than Ohio State. Now, just because Ohio State was in the Big Ten championship, the rules have to change. That is not how it works. Once you start the
you know
game,
why they
you
changed the
cannot
rules?
change the rules in the middle of the game. You cannot
You
do
know why
that
they changed the rules?
because Ohio State wasn't in it.
No, because that's part. And if they do get in, if they get a college football playoff appearance, you know what the conference gets?
Money.
They get money. There you go.
But it screws Indiana's program.
Look, I've gone back and forth on this. I've been like, yeah, they should have changed the rules. How high they started. Then they're like, you can't change the rules in the middle of the season. I've gone back and forth on this. If they would have changed the rules, then you would have blowback like this. If they didn't change the rules, then both sides would have been mad either way. So
I understand why they did it, but it's not fair to Indiana who
I
met
agree
who
it's not
met
fair.
the agreed upon criteria.
I
Ohio
agree.
State didn't.
I agree.
What else is there?
Well, Big 12 championship game, Oklahoma, Iowa State. That's a very good game. That's a potentially top 10 matchup.
Mhm.
And then we move down to 3:30. We got the Sun Belt Conference, Louisiana, Coastal Carolina. That's a great game.
That is a good game. You got two ranked teams in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, Louisiana's had one loss this year, and that was the Coastal Carolina by 3 points. And Coastal Carolina's undefeated, so a good rematch game.
Mhm.
Obviously Notre Dame, Clemson. That speaks for
That's a
itself.
big game. Yep.
Florida, Alabama. It's a 17-point line. I think this game's gonna be a lot closer than people expect. I think this was a look ahead. I think Florida's defense is offensive side is very good. I'm saying Florida's gonna win. I think Alabama still wins by maybe a touchdown, but I think it's a closer game than people expect. And then Cincinnati, Tulsa. That's another good game. I think Cincinnati's a better team than Tulsa.
Of course.
But that's a very good game and a playoff. And there's one game, one non-championship game has playoff implications. It's number 5 Texas A&M and Tennessee. That's a makeup SEC game. Texas A&M wins, and if Ohio State ever lost or Clemson ever lost to Notre Dame, Texas A&M would have a good shot to get in. So that game does mean something if somebody loses. So you can't keep your eye off at Texas A&M this week as well.
Okay, I have a comment and a question regarding Florida, Alabama.
Yes.
So, number 1, I think Alabama blows out Florida. Alabama is the best team in college football. They're my pick to win it all. They put up like 50 points every game. I don't even bother watching the games. So Alabama's gonna win the game. As for Florida might have cost themselves a chance in the NCAA playoffs when that Florida player, who I don't know his name, if maybe you do, you could fill in the blank. When he threw his shoe 20 yards across the field, it set up a big penalty, and LSU was able to convert a 57-yard field goal, the longest in their franchise history. And LSU was able to complete the upset. Any chance Florida had of making it to the playoffs, out the door. It's gone.
I remember that was third down, so they would have gotten off the field.
They would have gotten... Yeah, no, I'm trying to think back. Yeah, it's just a stupid penalty.
And to be fair to the kid, it was a stupid penalty. That's why they lost. To be fair to the kid, it was only a tie game, so he could still have lost it over.
No, it's nothing for the kid. That's a stupid thing to do. You cost your team a chance to go to the NCAA playoffs. You should be off the team. You're right. All right, I lied. I have 2 more questions. Number 1, is Clemson Notre Dame at Notre Dame, or is it a neutral site?
Neutral site.
Where?
Panther Stadium.
In Carolina?
Yes.
Oh, are there fans?
I believe that the ACC is still discussing that.
But the game's in 5 days.
I agree. Now, we don't know about Carolina's been back and forth. Is it in North Carolina or South Carolina? That's the big key.
I think it's North Carolina.
Now, I think the Panthers have been having fans, right?
I'm trying to remember. I think they have.
I think they will have fans then. If the Panthers have fans, I think they will have fans then.
Yeah, I think they do. I'm probably wrong, but I think they do. All right. And if Clemson loses, you think Texas A&M's in?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay, so if Clemson loses, they're out.
But then you got Cincinnati, that they're undefeated and the conference champion, and then really things get interesting. Then who is the spot go to?
Well, here, I'll give you this. Cincinnati has to beat a ranked opponent in their conference game. Texas A&M is playing Tennessee. Now, what is Tennessee's record? Let's go to the conference that I am
3-6.
3-6. Let me get to this real quick. Yeah, 3-6. So they're playing a team under 500.
Yes.
So that game comes with it's a grain of salt. You
Yeah,
take that
but
game
I
with.
think the thing is, if you're not in the conference championship, I think the committee just wants to see you again, just in case.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Uh,
So, but I want to see Cincinnati there because I don't know. It's like a lower tier conference. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like it's not the
I'm
SEC.
rooting
It's
for
not the Big
Cincinnati
Ten.
to get in.
Probably
Um,
not. A lot would have
I'm
to happen. They need a lot of help.
no, if it comes out of Texas A&M Cincinnati, the one thing I would say is the committee loves to favor the SEC.
That's true. Cause I love the SEC. You're right there.
So I hate to bark at the committee, but that's the rules.
No, you're right. You're right. And then let me ask you this too. I'll ask you one more. If Ohio State loses by some miracle, and so someone has to lose Clemson, Notre Dame. Ohio State's going to be out. Clemson's going to be out.
I'm really rooting for Northwestern because there'll be all chaos all over the place.
You want Northwest? Okay, that would be cool. Yeah, because then if Notre Dame loses, are they out?
I don't know. I don't know. If Northwestern beats Ohio State, Joe will be on the phone with an emergency coordinating meeting.
Because I feel bad for Indiana then, because Indiana would have won that game. But here, I'll give you this: if Ohio State loses, which is unlikely, it's not going to happen, and then if Clemson loses, which I also think, what's the line on that game? I'm pretty sure Clemson's got to be favored, right?
Oh yeah, well Clemson started off as 7.5-point favorite early in the week. The money's come pouring in. They're not 10.5.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. The money has come in. So they're massive favorites. So if Clemson loses and Ohio State loses, you got to give the spot to Cincinnati and Texas A&M. Florida's done. That should cost their season. Florida's done.
Which one of them losing could happen, but both of them losing is extremely unlikely.
I completely agree. I agree.
But it's 2020. I've seen stranger things, but
I also feel bad for Coastal Carolina. They played. This is going to be their 11th game. If they win, they'll be 11-0. I think they're getting lost in the dust here.
And it's a big game for Coastal Carolina because those little teams, the group of five, as I like to call them, which they are, whoever the highest ranked group of five is, gets a New Year's Six bowl appearance. So if they win and Cincinnati loses, Coastal Carolina would get that New Year's Six appearance. So Coastal Carolina is still playing.
So there are some bowl implications on this game.
Oh yeah, because if Coastal Carolina can still get a New Year's Six bowl,
that's pretty cool. Five. That's really cool, though.
Yeah, so Coastal Carolina is still playing for a ton.
All right, there you go, college football. And Trevor, you know what it's time for?
My segment.
It's the people's favorite segment. Trevor Markowski's segment. Where is Hollywood? I thought you were going to call LeBron. He was going to tell you, like, get you on a plane out there.
He's been busy.
Okay, I give him that. He's busy not playing in preseason games.
Yes.
It's a good thing, but go ahead. On to the Trevor segment.
So we have midweek Premier League this week, by the way. We have midweek and weekend. We have to do midweek because since the season started a couple weeks later, we got to put some games in where
kind of cool though.
Yes. 3:00 Wednesday. It's on NBC SN. Liverpool against Spurs, by the way, top two in the league. They're tied in points for number one, but Spurs does have the advantage because of goal difference. And what are you going to say? I mean, first time for first place, you can't say any more than that.
No, that's a great game. And midweek, is there any way they would move that? Because it's a midweek. Oh, is this all midweek? All the games are midweek. Okay.
Yeah, all the games are midweek because since the season started a month later, they got to fit some games in.
Okay, so that is a really good game.
Make sure they don't end in July again this year.
Right.
So,
no, that's a really good game. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Two things. How was the Manchester Derby and the tie I saw?
It was for Manchester Derby, as a casual fan, it wasn't that entertaining. But as a soccer fan, it was really good strategy and all that. And there's been better Manchester Derbies, but I would say the winner of the game has probably been Manchester United. They're coming off a tough. They got knocked out of the Champions League, and one of the star players wants out. Mm-hmm. So, been a rough week for them, and they're kind of response like that to tie. I would say they probably got the. They were probably more happy with a tie than City was.
All right, I know that you're on suicide watch here. That Arsenal again losing to Burnley, who is on the cusp of relegation. What the heck is going on in with Arsenal?
You know what? I think it might be better for Arsenal that they have no fans now after all these games because I think the fans are ready to revolt on the field.
I don't want to alarm you, Trevor. 5 points from relegation.
Yeah, and everybody's saying, oh, it's the manager's fault. You know, I they beat Manchester City, Liverpool during the summer. They can do it. They've been shown they can do it.
What
I
the?
just think that the manager took over in January, right?
Mhm.
Let's start there. He's been unfit. His year has been, what a way to take over in January of this year. I mean, 2 months later, your pandemic comes. You can't really sign too many free agents or whatever you like to call them, transfers. Your budget is shrunk. So,
Mhm.
wouldn't you agree? You got to give him a pass with all the pandemic and the less money. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I don't know. A lot of what's it called? Spurs and Liverpool and
Well,
Southampton.
to
All
be
these
fair, they
teams
were
aren't
better.
having a lot of trouble.
Well, they were better last year before the pandemic, anyway.
All right, I trust you more than I trust myself in
So,
EPL. So.
in my opinion, it's taking over too much before a pandemic. That's tough as it is.
Okay, I'll trust you on this because I don't know a lot of EPL. But
So I'm saying that everybody should take it easy and imagine. I've seen improvement. It can be done. They can beat the good teams. It's just that you got to give. It's only been less than a year. Got to give the guys some time. COVID has certainly not helped. I'm more of a wait and see approach on this. I'm more patience.
we're gonna have to do weekly check-ins on Trevor to make sure everything's going smoothly. Because
Yes.
if Arsenal gets close to relegation, we're gonna have to send some social workers up to Trevor, make sure everything's
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
So a couple more things I want to get to, Trevor. Oh, actually, let me do this. Game of the week in the NFL: Chiefs Saints. Hopefully we get Breeze back for a Breeze versus Mahomes. And Mahomes last week threw 3 interceptions. One play he had that massive 30-yard sack. Looking back on it, it looks like a Madden play. But that is the game of the week. You have the brilliant Saints team against the offensive heavy Chiefs team. So 4:25 on Sunday, the only 4:25 game on Fox. Go get them. It's a great game. Enjoy it. So I want to get to a couple more things here, Trevor. We'll start with the basketball. And this is kind of old news now, but we haven't been able to talk about it. It's that Kyrie Irving was at one point refusing to talk to the media. Ever since then, he actually talked to them today. And he was all nicey nice to them. He thanked every one of them for coming in and talking to him. So someone must have said something to him. But regardless, he was talking yesterday. But as a Net fan, I'll tell you this. I don't have a problem with him not talking to the media. Only if he's playing like an all-star. Play like crap, and you better be facing the media after every game. 20 minutes after the game, you better be on that Zoom call answering questions. That does not float in this town. So if you are an all-star, have at it. Play the basketball game, go home, come back the next day, and do it again. But if you're dropping 10 points in 38 minutes, and you play like crap defensively, and you're hogging the ball, doesn't sit well. Then you got to talk.
I completely agree. As a Net fan, I understand where you're coming from. I completely agree. I'm not a big fan of talking to the media. I'm not a fan of distractions on the field or on the court, whatever you like to call it. But I completely agree. And I have a question for you. First preseason game for the Nets. What was your thoughts?
Well, number one was seeing Kevin Durant healthy and playing. And number two was seeing him play great and Kyrie playing great. So you had Kevin Durant play about 25 minutes. He got 15 points in his return back. He looked great. Kyrie Irving played 17 minutes and he had around 18 points. The only thing I would do differently, and I know it's a preseason game, so I'm not getting critical. Steve Nash put out a starting 5 that is pretty close to what you're going to see on opening night on December 22nd. The only thing I would do differently, I would swap out Spencer Dinwiddie for Karis LeVert. That's the only thing I would do differently. They're both pretty good. They're both pretty close. But Dinwiddie can be an awesome 6-man. And I'll give you another thing I saw. Joe Harris and Landry Shamet, they're sharing time. They both played about 20 minutes. I think Harris played 19 and Shamet played 21. So it's almost for the first preseason game they were sort of a platoon. And we'll see where Steve Nash goes with that. I still want to see Joe Harris out there all the time. But so far, so good. And you almost throw out the scores in the preseason games. They won, but means nothing. I was just happy to see Kevin Durant healthy. And go ahead, I'll react to that.
I go more by individual performances than I do wins and losses in preseason.
Of course, I think everyone does.
So
So let
that's
me
just
ask you this: how'd the
yes.
Lakers do? What are your thoughts on them?
Well, I really like what I've seen from Kuzma.
Okay, that was your number one priority going into preseason was Kuzma.
Yes. So I really like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy. Kuzma, I don't know the hair change or whatever, but that doesn't matter to me. Uh, but I think he's played well. And
Mm-hmm.
this Horton Tucker kid came out of nowhere.
Oh, you were right. I think what he put up 33 points yesterday.
Yeah, and 20 something, or 19 the other day. And I look back at his career stats. He's had 6 regular season games only, and he's put up 10, 14 points to 30 minutes. So it's not that
How
many.
old is he?
20.
Oh wow.
And he's playing in 2 playoff games. I think he's 20. I gotta look.
I'll look it up for you. Go ahead. You can talk. I'll look it up.
He's playing 2 playoff games for like a little less under 10 minutes. He didn't do anything in the playoffs, but if this guy could be half as good as he is in the preseason, we got something cooking here. And Montrezl Harrell, I really like what I've seen from him so far. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on Lakers are, but that's my thoughts as a fan.
So on this Taylor Horton Tucker kid,
Yes.
THT, I guess we'll call him that.
Yes.
He's played 6 games with the Lakers last year. He averaged, where are the points? I don't know how to use basketball reference right now. 5.7 points per game. Yesterday, he dropped 33. He went 33, 10, 4. Also had 4 steals and a field goal percentage of 64. He's 20 years old. Where did they get him from? Was he drafted or was he just signed? It looks like he was just signed. It doesn't look like he was drafted.
He did go to Iowa State, so I can give you that.
No, never mind. Second round pick. Second round, 46th overall pick.
Yes.
So late in the second round. So you guys might have found some lightning in a bottle with this young kid, THT.
And already with a stacked team already.
Yeah. And if you guys can find, because you guys are an old team, like I give you guys 2 or 3 more years, but if you can start finding, I know you will. I know you will. 3 straight years, or rather 4 straight years of constant championship aspirations and I'm losing the word, contention. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but um, but yeah, 4 straight years of competitive basketball. You sign up right now.
I would too, and I've been very happy so far. And by the way, LeBron and AD, Frank Vogel said they're going to play the last 2 games of the preseason.
So you guys, I was looking at the schedule. The Knicks play 4 preseason games.
We play 4-2. We play 2 against the Clippers, and we play 2 against Phoenix.
And the Nets play 2. They have Washington and then Boston. I wonder how that was.
The NBA rule was you have to play at least 2 preseason games.
So I guess it was up to the teams to schedule those.
Yeah, I like the Lakers. 4 games, I'm fine with that. It's just enough for me.
I'm fine with the Nets too. I just want to make sure Kevin Durant, gets into a little bit of a rhythm.
And I don't mind Frank Vogel. Everybody was saying that's outrageous. How does LeBron and AD don't play the 2 preseason games? I was fine with that. I'm fine if they don't play at all. You know what? Don't play in the first 2 games. Play a little bit in the last 2 games. Don't take unnecessary risks. I like that they didn't play in the first 2 games to see other players play and see what they are.
You're right. Don't risk injuries, and you have to remember they're coming off of a very short offseason.
Yeah, and I expect them in the last 2 games. I expect them maybe only to play 15, 20 minutes. They're not going to play that much, I wouldn't think. Maybe just a little bit.
Right, and load
just to get their feet wet.
Load management is going to be a really, really important thing this year.
Yes.
All right. So we got down to the basketball. We did football. Let's touch on a little New York baseball, and we'll start with the Mets. They hired Jared Porter to be the 14th general manager in their franchise's old and dumb and a bunch of other bad adjectives history. And he was seen as the next up-and-coming general manager for the last couple of years. He has a strong background in scouting and player development, and over the years, since 2004 or 2003, he's won 4 World Series with that title of Director of Player Development. And as a first-time GM, time's going to tell. Go ahead.
Well, I would say he's got a good background. I think there's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to say, I like the pick? I don't like the pick. For general managers, unless they were a general manager, I'm going to say I can't tell you until I see the product on the field. And
go ahead.
I say for a reasonable GM, going to be reasonable, I give him 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
See what he does. And then you say, I'll always say, come back to me in 3 or 4 years, and I'll tell you if it was a good pick or not. They're taking a flyer. There's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the Mets. It's
Things
Steve
things are
Cohen.
gonna go wrong.
Steve Cohen. He always takes flyers.
Hmm.
Um, it's a wild card play, but it's better than having a failed guy who failed before. I'd rather have a clean slate guy, if you ask me.
No, that's fair. But you want to hear? This is my question.
Yes,
It's what kind of role is he gonna have? Because Steve Cohen seems to be very hands-on, like with the baseball decisions, and so
I
does
like that.
Sandy Alderson. So where does the general manager play here? Like Sandy Alderson's the director of baseball operations, so I assume he's gonna be making all of the baseball decisions. I have a
Well,
feeling that this general manager is one here as a scapegoat if things don't go right, and he's also going to be again that lead like scout and head of the analytic department. Like, you understand what I'm saying here?
yes, I can give you Steve and Sandy's number, and I can call him. You
Can you
can
get?
tell him, but
Let's get them on the show. Like, you think they can come on here? We can interview them. Wouldn't
sure.
that be awesome? Once we get Steve Cohen and Sandy Alderson, I think we can retire from the show.
Yes,
That's like the ultimate end game, right?
yes.
All right, and then the Mets also signed James McCann to a $40 million deal, and I'm curious to see what you think about this because this guy went from a non-tender 2 years ago to a guy that's going to be making $40 million plus this year, and the Mets went on and made a decision to favor the bat over the glove. So I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'll react to it and
Oh,
give mine.
I think it's a good signing. It's a safe option for a defensive catcher.
Mhm.
It's not going to line up with the offensive numbers, but I think he's a solid catcher, and I'm okay with the Mets signing. 4 years, $40 million, take some resources out of away from signing other players,
Mhm.
as I'm hinting at. But from a neutral perspective, I'm fine. It sucks resources away from the Mets, and I'm okay with that.
It's okay. You're such a Mets hater, but no, I agree with you along those lines that they took a lesser catcher. They didn't want to blow the bank open for JT Ramiro, and they instead went for average defending, which is it's all right. I think he's actually very good when it comes to the new school metrics. Now I'm not up to date with those, and neither are you. But like the frame rates and all the analytical background, defensive stats, I think he's pretty good with that. So the geeks and computer nerds like that. But he's gonna hit 270, right? He's gonna hit about 25 home runs, and from a catcher, that's all you're gonna want. That's all you want at the plate. If you can find productive offense from a catcher, you found yourself a good catcher.
I agree.
My question is going to hold up on the defensive side. But
And
let
time
me
will tell.
go ahead. Yeah, time will tell. You're right. But let me also ask you this, and this is like a rhetorical question. Was it right to not use that money for JT Ramiro, who you don't have any defensive questions about, and instead use that money for a Springer or a Bauer or a Jaco DeRizzi or along those lines? Anything else? I think it was.
I think it was too. I agree.
And then we got to touch one last thing, DJ LeMahieu. And as the days go on, the angrier and angrier I get, and the more I think that he's not going to come back.
I don't
And
know.
it,
I still have hope that I think he will. I'm hoping,
but
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 I'm getting ready for the march on the stadium. I'm getting ready.
but yeah, I'll be there with you, my pick and fork and my fire stick. But after all he's done for this team, all the clutch hits, the timely home runs, the great defensive plays, you won't meet him in the middle. You won't give
Come
him that
on,
fifth
that's
year.
ridiculous. They should.
I know they got to give it to him. It's so embarrassing coming from the greatest franchise in all of sports. It's embarrassing to open up Twitter to see the two sides over $25 million apart. We're near Christmas and these guys aren't even close.
Yeah, unacceptable. Unacceptable, if you
It
ask me.
really is. And I'm wondering, where did the evil empire go? What happened? This is the
Cole needs
best
half.
player. No. I don't want to hear Cole. I don't want
I
to hear
agree.
Cole's name. Because this guy is the reason you've had success. He's the best player to wear this uniform in the last decade. Don't give me Aaron Judge. Stay on the field for more than 110 games, Aaron. Don't give me Stanton. You too. Without him, there are no Yankees. The Yankees cease to exist. Everything that has happened, every good moment the last 2 years has happened at the expense of DJ LeMahieu.
I agree. Maybe Brian Cashman here's your rally cry. Maybe things change.
In addition to Sandy Alderson, we'll get Brian Cashman in here so we can rip him apart for this.
Yes. So We'll see. Maybe things will change in a couple days, as
And,
they do in sports.
and
But
that's all I
hope
got. But
me too.
Trevor, the Thursday show or Friday show, depending on what we think, comes back this week, the second show of the week. For that, we will dive into the NBA season. We'll have our predictions for that, along with a bunch of other New York sports topics. But for now, I'm Joe Morales. You get me on Twitter at Joe Morales _. That's Trevor Markowski. This has been the MDM Podcast.